This is good day, everybody. I went to the farmer's market and got a bunch of stuff for ratatouille. Let me show my other camera. I just set up a new setup here, so I've got two cameras. So, Kristy, what made you decide to make ratatouille? I honestly don't think I've ever purposely made it. We always just called it stir fry. It was just whatever you have sitting around, you throw in a pan and fry it up. But this is a little different.
Ratatouille is so simple. It's just some chopping and into the pan, and it's a really easy one dish meal. I serve it over couscous, but you could put it over rice or, any other type of grain or pasta or anything that you want. And that works out fine. Shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay, well, like most good recipes, start with some olive oil in the pan. I use my big skillet and just put some olive oil in the bottom, and so then
I was talking to you about this, and I just got this used based on talking to you about big cast iron.
Yeah,
this reminds me of the one growing up my mom still has, and someone was downsizing and they posted this one, and I just got that one. My go-to is the stainless steel one. It's got like 7 layers of stainless steel with a core of aluminum, all kinds of fancy. But I don't know, like the cast iron, I have a lot of really good memories of baking a lot of good stuff on the cast iron. So
that'll be great. I'm gonna angle my camera so you'll tell me if you're able to see my cutting board decently. Yep. Okay. So, well, so I've got the olive oil and I've just got it on medium heat.
Right, let me actually turn the heat on.
Yeah, I have thrown in some minced garlic, and I am always the slowest one in class. I'm not like a speed chopper or anything, so I think everyone should probably be able to keep up. But if at any time people have questions or they haven't caught up, just let me know. But really all we're doing is chopping a bunch of stuff and throwing it in the pan and letting it get yummy. This is the kind of dish that is actually even tastier the next day or two, and it does freeze well. So I always make a big pan of it when I do make it, and then that way you can enjoy the leftovers. So I'm just letting that garlic get yummy. This is actually a French dish, and I have no French ancestry.
It's a French dish?
Ratatouille is French, and
for some reason I always thought it was Italian.
Yeah, well, it uses a lot of the you may see eggplant and zucchini and garlic and all of that, so it's not that unusual.
I have a question. I came across this turnip at the farmer's market. It was $1. It is literally as big as my head.
Oh my goodness.
Any chance that I should add some of that to it?
I haven't ever done that.
So I went with the biggest ones they had, got eggplant and turnip and zucchini.
It is, the whole idea of this is kind of like what you were saying, take it for lunch or whatever. The French farmers would just bring in whatever they had, I guess, in the field or something, and it's just a nice dish to enjoy. So I mean, you really can put anything in it, and of course fresh tomatoes are good. I end up using some canned tomatoes, so I like that juice, and then I add
I'll definitely be using canned tomatoes. Tomatoes right now, fresh ones in my area are $2 to $3 a pound.
Goodness.
I buy these fire roasted tomatoes that so let's see. And I wasn't sure what kind of bells, so I went hog wild and I bought every color. So I've got an orange, a red, a yellow, and a green.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So while excuse me, while the garlic is getting going, I'm just chopping some of the other vegetables, which include onion, which will be next. In fact, I think I'll go ahead and add my onion, and it really doesn't matter, you know, if you have half a large one, if you have two small ones,
Do
just
you have a
whatever you
preferred
have.
order of putting it in, or is it just what takes longer to cook you put first?
I usually just do my garlic and onion to start out with, and then I put in the eggplant because it seems to take longer. And then I chop the others while that's cooking.
So
And
you
then
like to
while
cook it down, the eggplant, like really reduce it then?
It still has some form, you know, but it'll be soft
Okay.
by the time we eat this. So, you know, it does take a little bit. We can make the couscous or whatever you're making in the meantime. So I didn't do a good job of keeping this separate.
I'm putting a whole, whatever you call it, I just forgot what it's called. A whole
Eggplant?
group of garlic.
Oh, a head of garlic.
There you go. Yeah, a head of garlic.
Oh, nice. I got some really pretty elephant garlic at the store. It was real nice and purpley. So I can hear my heat
But it's taking me
finally
a
with
little
these
longer 'cause I have to peel it
onions.
still.
Yeah. I'm just going to chop the eggplant into, you know, about a 1/2 inch cube or a 3/4 inch cube, about in that range. That makes
I need
sense.
to add a little more oil. Because I'm going to make a big batch.
Excellent.
That's part of my, I'm learning how to make better quality food. Well, I wouldn't say better quality. I'm learning how to make smaller, high quality. I always grew up making like massive quality because, you know, there's a lot of people in my family. We always fed a lot of people, hardworking. And so,
Yes.
yeah, we always went for.
My mother was fixing for 8 every night because we were 6 kids.
So is there any, do you feel like there's any part of the eggplant that you don't use? I just cut off the little.
Yeah, I cut off the stem part and then I just cut it in half and then in rounds or half rounds, I guess. And then I just chop about a 1/2 inch or so, 3/4.
All right.
Can you hear my onions?
Oh, I forgot to put onions. How could I do that?
No, I'm glad I mentioned it. I know you like a hot pan.
I tend to save all my bits to make veggie soup, but I don't think I'd save that eggplant bit there.
No,
It really doesn't have much flavor, I don't think.
I wouldn't think so.
All right. Eggplants, onions, garlic, zucchini. Now I noticed you didn't really have, what do you call it, any meat or protein on your.
Right, you can. I have made it with chicken, just sauteed chicken breast and laid it over it. It doesn't typically have, that I've had a meat with it, but you certainly can. I mentioned that you could add a protein. I do sometimes have garbanzo beans. I had a can, but I don't know where I placed it. I had it just earlier today. So, well.
So I just got given, and I've marinated it, wild mushrooms called chicken of the woods. They're very interesting because they have the exact same texture as chicken breast.
Really?
So I marinated them in some veggie broth. And so I might add that. Well, actually, I've ate about half of them already.
Oh.
Days, but
I just stepped away to tie my hair back better and wash my hands since I touched my hair. Well, I tell you what, any dish that starts with garlic and onion is a good way to start off. That looks tasty already. So I'm going to throw in some of this eggplant and let that get going.
I guess I got ahead of you. I put the onion and garlic and put.
I may have maybe to switch to my stock pot or make a second batch later.
All right. So I've got it sizzling at about half temp. Oh, yep. Man. This is my first time using this big cast iron in ages. So we'll see how it goes.
Or I am willing to bet that you start using that pan all the time.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah. I like the stainless steel one because if you put the lid on it, the temperature on the top is the same as the bottom because it has that aluminum core. So it's good for baking on the stovetop. But I grew up using stainless steel. I mean, not stainless, the cast iron. And so I'm definitely, you use what you're used to.
This is just a little emerald set that I have.
I grew up with stainless steel and I own everything, including cast iron now. And I use cast iron for a lot of things.
I am a new owner of cast iron.
Congratulations.
Yes, and it's an old set or two, a smaller skillet and a larger skillet from my aunt and uncle's estate.
Oh, you were able to get those?
Yes, I got two of them.
Yeah, that's what got me like getting this one, because you were telling me about getting your uncle's old cast irons, and I was just like, ooh. And when my friend posted on social media that they were downsizing, I was just like, ooh, I want that big pan.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
This is my first time using it, so.
Yeah, this is a good dish for that.
I have that size, but with two of the loop handles instead of the stick handle. And I use it even on the grill outside.
You could use it in the oven too.
Yeah. I use it in the oven. I use it stovetop. I put it right on the barbecue.
Yeah.
I'm going ahead and jumping ahead a little bit with this.
That's why my old cast iron doesn't have, it used to have a handle here, but I took it off because I was always putting it in the oven.
And the handle didn't fit.
I went ahead and added my tomato. I don't normally do it that early, but my pan was quite hot and I wanted the liquid for that.
Okay, so I could add a can of tomato.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like the heat gets a little better distributed too and starts helping.
But yeah, I was at the farmer's market this morning. They had tomatoes still on the vine, and then they had these really beautiful Cherokee, but these were $3 a pound. And so I was just like, I think I might save that for a salad and not use it in a.
I actually agree. I think for something like this, I would use canned, and the fresh ones would be consumed raw.
Even
So
though these, usually when you're buying tomatoes, they've been picked like, a while ago, picked green, and then, well, maybe not in California, but here, transported across the country. But, these ones were grown locally in greenhouses. So.
I was just showing that I do the zucchini in a little, similar size. I don't think that all of my ingredients are gonna fit in this pan, so I may have to.
Hey, question for you. Whenever you do a can, you put a little water to rinse out the can and then you use that water?
Yeah.
I don't know. I always do that. I like rinse out the can
That's
and then
a
I
good one.
don't waste that water. It's just like.
Yeah, that's actually a good
habit.
idea. And I do that with the, especially with the paste. And I have to say that the paste is really, I wouldn't say it's, never done, but I think that might be my Italian heritage coming out, that I like it saucy to go over the couscous. And of course, the person who taught me this doesn't have any French ancestry either.
So do you always just cook and cut while you're doing it like this? Or do you ever like cut everything up and then start it? Like prep things ahead?
You could just, to speed it up if you weren't ready to cook and you wanted it fresh. But like I said, for me, this is the sort of dish that the longer it's going, the better. So I don't think I've ever chopped everything and then started, because I want that, I want the garlic and onions to be going first.
And I mean, all the ingredients you mentioned are all stuff that, in the summer where I live, there's just an overabundance of it. It's like really cheap. I mean, let's see. I was able to buy zucchinis, yellow squash. I mean, this zucchini right now, it's spring where I live, and so things are just starting to grow. And so this is the expensive time, but that whole zucchini, which is probably almost 2 pounds, was $1. So
yeah, it's just kind of like you said, whatever you've got there for the summer, you can throw in. I'm not going to put all of this in. I think I'm going to go ahead while it's cooking and just chop it, set that aside for another purpose.
Let's see. So far, I've put garlic, onions, tomatoes, eggplant, yellow squash, and I'm putting the zucchini in now.
Okay, I'm going to try to move this. I think I did all right.
Look how colorful it is, huh?
Yeah. So you've got all these different veggies going, and it'll take a little while for that to get all cooked and tender. But I'm going to go ahead and add. Mine will get a lot saucier by putting this tomato paste and water in, and I'm not going to use a whole can. But
now, what are some vegetables you would say you would never put in here? I mean, it seems like most things we're putting in here, none of them really have really strong taste. They're like.
So you're putting in things that all mature at the same time. These are considered late summer, early fall vegetables. It's kind of the heat of the summer as it's ending. And I think if you do it seasonally, you'll make a different one with your turnip, but you might do it with sweet potato and other more wintry stuff.
Yeah, I was
Or
just like,
carrot, maybe?
I just couldn't believe that at the farm.
Root.
This was not from the farmer's market. This was from the farm store. And this was in the discount bin because look how rough the skin is. But I mean, you can like,
Mhm.
I mean, I could just
Look,
peel that
once-
skin off.
Yeah,
really
once you
easy.
peel it, it's going to be just fine inside.
This huge thing was $1, and this will be good. I don't know, 2 months sitting out before I have to use it up probably.
So one thing that is really distinctive about ratatouille is the bay leaf. So I will, I have a really large bay leaf and I'm gonna go ahead and break it. You could break it in two or break it into thirds or put it in whole. I like to kind of mix it up. Some people do not like bay leaf because it has a very distinctive flavor. But this is not overpowered with this, 1 to 2 leaves. And it really just, to me, is so beautiful with the tomato. And you can see that my pan is getting pretty saucy, which I like. And sometimes they're more liquidy. I think that's very common for a ratatouille. It's just almost like a summer stew, but I like the extra sauce that the tomato paste gives us. So in addition to the bay leaf, I'm going to add I have some Sicilian sea salt and some fresh cracked pepper. And
But with the bay leaves, like when I cook for other people, I always count how many pieces I put in there so that I can remove them.
Yes, so
because
that is something you don't want to eat.
Because people, I don't know, people don't want to have stuff in their food that they can't eat, which tends to be like, if you put like, when I'm doing a lot of savories, I might put the whole stock of herbs in, and then you're going to come across maybe a stem or so. Or when I'm making chicken soup, you're going to have some bones in there. But, we are so spoiled that everything is like perfect.
You're right.
And
yes,
so
I do also count and make sure that I get them all. I mean, I don't mind if it's in my dish because I know I'm not going to eat that bay leaf. But yes, if I was serving to others, I do want to make sure that they know that that's, if I've missed anything, that's not something that you want to eat. So I also added a little bit of crushed red pepper. And then now are some options that I put on the description that I don't always, I've actually only used it a few times, but I have read that it is not uncommon to use rosemary and fennel. So I'm going to add a little bit of both of those.
for being in season, I was able to get a whole bunch of Italian parsley. So I'll probably add some of that.
Oh, very nice.
But otherwise, I've got some dried rosemary from the fall. Let's see if I can get my bag of herbs down here.
And then
that I haven't ground up yet.
This has lavender in it, these Provence.
I got a whole bag of herbs. This is all the herbs from my garden last fall.
Amazing.
Yep.
So I don't use
that's a stalk of rosemary right there.
This Provence. Do you use this
Herb de Provence?
Oh yeah.
So
it has lavender, which I love.
Right. It's probably most similar to Italian seasoning, but with the addition of lavender and maybe with the oregano being a little less prominent. I think the flavors of it are nice.
Yes. So anyway,
instead of Italian seasoning, I actually tend to use that because
do you?
I have a local farmer lady. I actually call it I call it savory Italian because I also add probably a little more thyme to it. But that's what I've
Okay.
been doing with my bag from the fall that's been drying above my stove, is I've been slowly grinding it up and putting it in. And I just filled this up. And so this is
And so yours does not have lavender, is that correct?
it does.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
Mm.
lavender, I have to be very careful because it grows prolifically and it's very
Oh.
easy to be overpowering. But let's see.
So while this is cooking, I think I'll go ahead and make my couscous.
Add a little.
I don't know if you've decided what you're going to put yours over or if you're going to put it over anything.
I already made some rice.
Okay.
Because I have to try to be gluten-free.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that when I realized that couscous was not a grain, I
Oh,
was so disappointed. I was just like, you mean it's a pasta this whole time?
this
I'm so
whole
sad.
time.
Oh man, this is looking. Let's see. I feel like there was a spice. Oh, I didn't put any salt. Because I try to cook. Now last week I cooked a recipe separate from my regular Leave It to Chef, and we made strawberry chutney. And as part of the strawberry chutney, we put black salt.
Oh, interesting.
Black salt, when I tasted it, it tasted very sulfury, but it had very little of a salt taste. It was mostly very minerally. And it was just like, you literally only put like a half a teaspoon for this whole pot of basically strawberry jam, a savory strawberry jam. It was the strawberry chutney. So I think I'm going to start trying to use this black salt because it's really intense. It gives you the salt flavor without much salt. So we'll see how it goes.
That's interesting. I've never used black salt.
Well, this is Himalayan black salt. So it's similar to the Himalayan pink salt, but it's just a different color and less salt, I guess.
So I've now turned my water on for the couscous.
What kind of couscous do you know? There's
I use this Near East version.
Okay, because what like the Israeli couscous is like a bigger.
Yes, I have some of that as well. I can show that if you like.
All right,
you can see that is a larger.
I forgot. I only put half a zucchini in. I mean, it's such a big one. But let me go ahead and use this up. So
I'm going to go ahead and use the packet they gave us for the couscous.
Now this doesn't, well, besides the eggplant, most of this doesn't cook down too much. It just becomes softer. Most of this stuff still holds its texture pretty well.
Yes.
You ever now just put a lid on it and then just put it in the oven and bake it?
I have not done the oven, but I am going to just.
I'm not much of an oven person because I really like watching the food cook.
Yeah. I do more, I like to bake. I know we were talking about making challah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been trying to bake more, but yeah, I can make brownies pretty good. But from scratch. Well, gluten-free brownies. I make a really good gluten-free brownie. I add mint to it.
Really?
So it's basically like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, like if you ever had mint chocolate ice cream or something similar.
Girl
all
Scout
right.
cookies, Thin Mints.
So I only put a green pepper in there. I probably should put one of these colored peppers in. Let's see. All right, what's the vote? Yellow, red, or orange?
Yellow or orange, something that's you've already got the red from the tomato.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Then I can save that other one for a salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, when like this is not in season for us right now, so they're really expensive. So what I tend to do is when it is in season, I will cut up the peppers in strips and then freeze them. And then they're excellent to add to stuff
Mm.
because I really like sweet bell.
Yeah, I do too. My grandmother used to grow them, and her mother, and I guess she was really expert and would grow really big bell peppers that were just so big that they would hardly fit in my uncle's hands. They grew a lot in their garden, apparently. My great grandparents.
I'm trying to think if I ever grew. I've grown the small sweet peppers. They're like little church bells, thing like hand bells. I don't think I've ever grown these big ones.
Well, there's just nothing to making couscous, of course. You just boil the water and let it sit there for 5 minutes and it'll be ready.
So on the discount bin at the veggie store, they had this container of mushrooms for 50 cents. Any reason I couldn't just chop them up and add them?
Go right ahead.
I mean, this is just like what's in season.
Yeah.
These are like the little bell mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have those chicken of the woods that I can add to give it like the meaty texture. But
That's so interesting. Chicken of the woods.
now let me go grab those and show you because they're
Sure.
pretty cool.
Of course, just a few weeks ago in Missouri, everyone's going nuts for the morel mushrooms, which are hard to find.
I mean, it's literally looks like chunks of.
Oh.
Let's see if we've got a long piece. Now, I guess I ate all the ones that were like long, like chicken strips. But this is literally, you know, a mushroom, and it has the chewy texture. And I marinated it. So.
What you marinated it already?
Yep.
What
and
did
this
you
container was full, so I've already ate like half of it. But I just put
your supper.
some veggie broth in it and some Italian, seasoning, and just let it soak.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Well, there's not a whole lot left to do besides let this cook a little bit.
Well, now is when you probably get out the glass of wine and you start.
I'll join you. I'll join you in that.
Just like
get that.
You just let it slow cook. Well, I am glad we made this the first time cooking together instead of challah, because a lot less complicated, but very flavorful. And look at how much I'm making like 2 gallons of it.
It's hard to imagine something simpler.
Or did I hear you say you were putting parsnips and turnips in yours?
I didn't, because I ran out of space, but
Oh,
if you look here, look at this turnip I got in the discount bin.
pretty big, yeah.
It was $1, and so I could put that in there, but
I
my
was
pan
reading,
is literally like mounded up, overflowing. It's a huge
yeah,
pan.
I was looking up some recipes for ratatouille, and it calls it rotatouille when it's ratatouille made with root vegetables. I thought that was kind of cute.
Ratatouille, how cute. Well, I have poured a glass of wine as you suggested, Or. So here's to you and the crowd.
I just added this mushroom, so I have to stir it first, and then I'll get a glass of wine. And so, yeah, I mean, you serve this over rice, pasta. I suppose you could serve it with anything. It's just, it's not really a stir fry because it's moist. I mean,
Right.
all I did was add that 1 can of tomatoes. Otherwise, it's the moisture from all the veggies.
Mhm. And I would say that is more typical. I just like the sauciness that goes over the couscous really nicely. And I top it with, some grated Parmesan or other cheese that I might have. I've got actually some kashkaval that I grated, so I'm going to use that.
Kashkaval.
Well, kashkaval is the full name is caciocavallo, longer L. It's from the Molise region in Italy, where my grandmother was born and grandfather. But they make it in southeastern Oklahoma, where a lot of the Italian immigrants who came worked in the coal mines, and there's an Italian grocery there that my family went to, generations. And
where did you say?
In southeastern Oklahoma, it's a little tiny village called Krebs.
I would have never thought of southeastern Oklahoma as like a place of Italians.
Right. But a lot of them left there and went to Ohio and worked for the rubber companies in Akron and that area. And then some actually went to Colorado and did farming. But in any event, there's a little Italian grocery there called Lavera's, which is still there. And you can order, they have to call it Cacio Lavera, which is the family name Lavera, who has the grocery. And because it's a protected name for the regional source, like Champagne or Gorgonzola or what have you, Burgundy. So you can't call it Caciocavallo outside of that region if you're making it. So they have to call it Cacio Lavera. But anyway, I had some that I had and just grated the end of it. Unless that might have been the imported one from New York. But it was not as soft as like the one that my grandmother would make. So that's probably why I grated it, now that I think about it.
Yeah, the only cheese I've ever made, I've made like the fresh farmstead cheese, and I've made mozzarella. But
There's a basket cheese that is commonly made in her region, and they make that into an Easter bread, which is called chaton. And chaton is basically like a quiche in a dish, in a Pyrex, 9x13 oblong, although some people do make it in a round. I've recently learned, but it usually has, eggs and cheese and ham. I also learned that some people like to put sausage in it, which we never did. But, I'm sure every family makes their own traditions. And there's another Easter bread that they make that puts an egg.
I forgot to get wine. How could I forget to get wine?
Oh, yeah, get your wine. How's that?
Do you feel like there's a red or white, dry, sweet that should go with it, or is it?
I
I
am
mean-
the sort of wine drinker that I think that you should drink what you enjoy and not be
I like you a
necessarily
lot.
bound by those things. Like, you know, when there isn't any meat here, that some people say, oh, you should be having a white, but I like red and it agrees with my body. So I'm having red.
Well, isn't red better for your heart? It's got the extra, I forget, what is it? The tannin? No, not. I don't know.
Yes,
I was
have
told that
heard
red wine was good for your heart.
I've
So,
heard that as well.
salud.
Salute. Thank you for inviting me to cook. I'm
Well, now I have
excited
to
give
invite
this a try.
10 people over.
Yeah.
I'll bring it over to, luckily I have a big family, so I bring it over to them. But I do
Are you-
have, you know, some family members that tend to be very picky about food, right? So
Mm.
um,
Are you?
I'm
I
chopping
forgot
up
you
my
told me.
extra bells for a salad. I'm gonna, you know,
Yeah,
my
I may.
good tomatoes and my bells, so I can have a really nice salad to go with this.
That is such a summery taste, isn't it? Love that.
So we'll have like the ratatouille is like that, I don't know, the darker summer savory taste, and then the salad will be a light, freshing.
Yeah, I have a little pop for you.
So. Although my tomatoes are the Cherokee purples, which are a dark. I really like the heirloom Cherokee purples because they've really got that, I don't know, the dark savory. I'm not very good at describing food. I like it. Whenever I go
It's
to like
good.
a restaurant and try to do the food description, I don't know. I was just like, this is yum.
This is yummy. Enjoy it.
Yeah, so my pan is about half full of water now. That's like, oh, that was from the mushrooms. That's why.
Mm.
Really, one container of
Well,
mushrooms.
that'll be good over your rice. You know, I think that'll give you
I
some
do feel
yumminess.
like I should have caramelized the garlic and onions in the beginning a little more. I barely fried them, and then
Oh, you
got
jumped
excited
in.
and just started going. I probably should have let that caramelize a little bit.
Well, I started getting to the point I probably didn't have enough oil, that I was afraid it was going to start burning. So I went ahead and added the tomato a little sooner.
So I put the olive oil in, and what do you call it? Then I was like, I'm making such a big pan, and it started burning. And so I just decided, I
Even
just
though
added
you're-
some regular vegetable oil to it
Okay.
because I was making such a big pan. But then I didn't let so.
So, but you were using medium heat, right? You said.
Correct. But
Mm.
yeah, that olive oil, because it's such a big pan, I think I just didn't have very much.
Mhm.
And it started smoking a little bit.
Oh, I see.
And instead of I turned it down, but then I was just like, I really need more oil. So I
And you
added more
can put
oil.
a lid on this, you know, just to make that.
But I think I wanted the moisture to cook down a little bit,
Okay, yeah, you may have.
because it's been slow simmering really nice. Now I also put a big bunch. I got this really nice Italian parsley and so I put a big bunch of that in there. The only thing, let's see, of your spices, I didn't put salt. And
You use
then,
black salt. Or no?
I had fennel seed, but not fennel
Yes.
leaves.
Yes,
So
I
I put
use
just a
seed.
little bit of that. And then I put the herbs de Provence. I got my own mix. Let's see what other spices. I'm starting to sweat. I think it's the wine.
Already.
Well, I usually don't drink while I'm cooking.
Ah, that's a good
I
part
should.
of cooking.
Well, when I drink while I'm cooking, it's like a shot for the food, a shot for me. So I do that, but okay, the tomatoes. Yep, I'm making make this quick salad. But so yeah, couscous, you're just basically boiling pasta. And
And then I just
this
fluff
is
it.
very colorful.
Yeah.
And I
And
do
I even,
believe like I will make some, like, I always just call this stir fry. We used to make this all the time growing up. I didn't know it had a fancy name. So, but
well, a lot of people learned the word ratatouille from the movie. There's a movie called Ratatouille.
so basically, anytime you think of that, you think of rats, right? Right? That's that movie now. Did it ruin the food, or more people want to eat it?
I think more people want to check it out. What is that? Mm-hmm.
They're like, rats eat it. Let me eat it, or no? I guess I don't really remember the movie. So, wasn't there a rat in there?
Yes, and he's quite the chef.
Oh, that's the one where the rat is in the guy's hair and he's like controlling the chef.
Yes,
So
that's cute.
all right. Now this right here is really hearty. I don't think you really need anything with it, but do you ever serve it with bread or a dessert or a salad or anything else?
Earlier, yesterday I was thinking, oh, I wonder if you want me to make bananas foster while this was cooking down, getting all cooked. And I thought, well, if we do that, we'll have to eat it right then because that's not a dessert.
So you missed 2 weeks ago. We had a recipe where we made bananas.
Oh.
And I bought 2 bananas for the recipe. And they were really nice and green. And this is 2 weeks later and it's still not ripe enough to eat. So I used one for the recipe, but I was unable to eat them because they were completely green.
Oh, wow.
That is the slowest ripening banana I've ever heard of.
But if I really wanted to ripen it, I could just get an apple and put it in a bag together. And the ethyl, right? The ethyl from the apple would make this ripen in a few hours.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to see setting it out on my counter, But I really like them really ripe too.
I usually find that they start ripening in 3 or 4 days.
Yes.
This was literally so green, it was hard as a rock when I bought it. It was the only one they had at the store. But yeah, I mean, like today I bought this one. And so, I mean, it's super ripe. How do you guys peel a banana? Which side do you peel it from?
Well, I've heard that the monkeys peel it from the other side, not the stalk side, but the other end.
I always use this as a handle.
Must be right.
And you just peel this.
That's right. Or nice and slow. Don't hurry it up. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I peel it that way.
If it's ripe enough, I use the stem, but if it's not ripe, I open it like a monkey because it's easier, which it ends up opening in just 2 parts instead of 3. It was the longest time before I realized that a banana, the inside fruit of the banana will naturally split itself into thirds.
Yeah.
What? Oh, yeah. You mean lengthwise, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give this a little taste.
And then it also seems like everything we're cooking here is stuff that you can eat raw. I mean, the eggplant, not really, but everything else. So you can decide at any moment, oh, it's cooked enough.
Yes.
Or you can say, I want to keep cooking it. So yeah, I'm going to give some of this to my friends who are vegetarian. I'll just have to tell them that this chicken of the woods is not a chicken, it's a mushroom. Wild mushroom.
That around here.
So yeah, my friend gave me
Mm.
I went over
Oh.
and did some work on their electric, and they were like, "How much do I owe you?" And I was just like, "Well, you gave me spices, you gave me a big bag of chicken of the woods." Anyway,
Nice payment.
yeah, I was just like, "I think you paid me well." So
I missed that part. Or is chicken of the woods a kind of mushroom?
it's a wild mushroom.
Wild. Oh,
It tastes
So
like
here, I'll pull it back out, a piece of it.
you better be careful. I don't want to pick mushrooms.
Right. So I mean, they're wild mushrooms, but we also have someone who grows them, you know, commercially.
Professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And so that right there looks like a piece of, you know, a piece of chicken, but like I mean, and it has the texture and chewiness of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
you do
But
not.
That's the
Right.
first time in my life I've ever heard of chicken of the woods.
Actually, we've got a message in chat that it's called hen of the woods. So
Hen.
we
Oh.
always called it chicken of the woods. But
Chicken
No,
of the
chicken of the
sea
woods
is
too.
tuna. Right?
Right.
We're not being picky about the gender of the chicken. It is a chicken.
so
Oh.
Well, I think this is getting closer, isn't it?
I mean, technically mine is done, but I don't. I tend to not like eggplant with much texture to it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, you know, I like it really well cooked.
I have a great recipe for you that's from actually the National Symphony Orchestra. And it's so good for
Does it make them? Is it so good it'll make me sing?
yes. When you taste it, you will burst into song.
Spontaneously
It
start singing.
is it's actually fried eggplant that you layer into. It's essentially almost a lasagna without the pasta. But
Well, a few weeks ago we made
layered,
4
so good.
Moroccan salads, and one of the salads was basically, you know, like if you ever had baba ganoush, it was
yeah,
similar to that, but you know, with different seasonings, and I really liked it. It was like well cooked down. I actually bought another eggplant,
Oh,
so I'm gonna cook that one again.
good. Yeah. So it's good to just roast that until it's blackened. If you have the gas stove, you can do it over the flame or just in the oven until it's crisp, the black skin. It's already black, but you know what I mean. It gives it a really, really nice dark flavor.
There's 1 bay leaf, so I have 3 more to go.
Oh, you found it. Okay. I think I even grabbed the dish that was in the photo of the event. This is my favorite pasta dish.
So you're gonna plate it up fancy, and then
No, nothing fancy about it.
post a
I
picture.
think that's Port Marion dish, Kristy.
Oh, it is.
Port
Yes.
Marion.
It's that botanic garden. And I wish I had a whole set of them now. Some of them are shallower than others. And I like this was kind of a medium one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so good for so many different dishes to have a pasta dish.
Mm-hmm.
Pasta bowl.
There we go. 3. All right, I have 1 more bay leaf somewhere in there. Well, there it is. I've never found it so easy.
I just grind them up.
Well, I leave mine in just, I guess that flavor will keep going, but eventually you do take it out.
Well, if I was just serving myself again, I would, but I'm actually packing a bunch of it up and bringing it away. So
you said you're one of how many? You told me once before, like 7 or something. It was more than mine. I know that. because I'm one of
What do you-
6.
What do you think? The plate makes it look good.
Oh, beautiful.
I put a sprig of parsley on the side, Italian parsley, and so I don't know.
Okay, so I'm getting my couscous fluffed up here.
And, put the glass of wine in the picture. Fluffing it up. Have you ever done millet?
No, I have not.
I really like millet.
Fluffing up his food.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put some yumminess here into the bowl.
How necessary do you feel like putting Parmesan on it is?
Not
It seems like anytime I go with friends to Italian restaurants, they always, and it's not the ones where they bring the grinder out, grater out, not the grinder.
Yes.
Always, but all right. All right, is there anything important you need to reiterate here? Let me change the camera to my face.
Let me grab a fork and I will tell you how this is. So here is my finished dish.
I think yours has more tomato in it than mine, because all I did was put that one can in.
Okay, so I have 2 cans. It was one double can,
Got it.
28 ounces. And
then I had
some
my
paste.
zucchini, my eggplant, and my yellow squash was huge. So
Yeah, I actually didn't even put my second yellow squash in. So here comes my first bite.
well, I mean, if you cooked it, you're not going to go, ooh. What is there any one flavor you feel like pops out, or it's just all? Well, let me wait until you finish chewing. All right, let me taste mine.
Well, for me, because I was not always using the rosemary or the herb de Provence, I am tasting the rosemary and the lavender and the fennels. Those are new flavors for me. And the eggplant, I feel like this will keep cooking, for a little while.
Yeah, just put it on low and let it cook. Keep.
I was just reading that if you put turnips in it, that's more common in northern France, but not in South France. And if you put olives, you can put olives in it, but that's more common in southern France, black olives. So I bought a whole can for last week, so I guess I'll try that. Have the southern France variety.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Add some olives.
I recently read that you could take this, put it into a blender rather, and add some broth, chicken broth or vegetable stock, whatever you wish, and turn it into a nice soup.
Yeah, that would be healthy.
Yeah.
So my local restaurant here does that, but then they add some cream to it and they call it bisque.
Yes.
So basically it's the same thing. It's the I think they use the same canned roasted tomatoes, or they roast them themselves. And then they add cream to it. But I know that they use zucchinis and squash to it because it still has some, they don't make it completely blended down. So, all right. Thank you very much for reminding me what I grew up eating is actually a fancy food. Just like I grew up eating this as like whatever we have
Yes.
And you know,
And that's really the idea. that it's
usually I
not
hated it
fancy.
because it was just like, oh, this again, this is in season. And
Yes,
now
no,
it's
it's
just
not
like, I
fancy.
love
It's just
eating
the,
food in season.
it's whatever the farmers have. So it's not fancy, but it's so easy. And it makes a lot and it's tasty, freezes well. So yeah, really good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll have you back to make some banana foster or some challah or do some baking, because that'll be a challenge for me, because
don't
I really
even-
need to learn more.
I was
Do
going
you
to
know
ask you.
anybody who knows how to make macaroons? Ooh, that would be my dream.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what banana foster is.
Bananas Foster is a dish that was created in New Orleans, and it is sauteed bananas with brown sugar and butter with a little cinnamon and brandy that is served over ice cream. And
Oh,
it
that
is
sounds good.
insanity. It is so good, but it's
You mean we could have
also
been having that while we
so
waited for
fast.
this to cook?
Exactly. That's why I was like, the amount of time, but then you'll start with dessert, which, hey, then you're always assured of having room for it if you do that, right?
That's my philosophy. Dessert, life is short. Eat dessert first, and then whatever, the rest of the food you can take home.
Yeah, exactly.
away.
So yeah, I'd be happy to do that anytime, because as soon as you can slice the bananas and serve ice cream into the bowls, your dessert is finished. It is so very fast.
All right, thank you.